can be a promising solution. So for future work, we have to keep working on interoperability, cybersecurity, and scalability as technical challenges, but we need to, or even apply new strategies in order to do a better management. But in social and economic aspects, we need to keep working on developing and applying new regulations in order to define every agent and its functions, and to deploy a flexibility market. Sorry, just to finish, I wanted to summarize this presentation in some ideas that flexibility will play a future role, key role in the future energy systems. The smart management will allow the integration of more renewable facilities, and the smart consumers will become an active participant in power systems. So thank you so much, and this was
Now we have time for your or two questions. Anyone?
Sonuçta plugin emin misiniz? Öbürünü mü? Bak, öbürünü mü? Bunu aldınız mı?
Management of this energy in order to also again yes, the cost to take profit of the facilities in order to increase the usage of these PV panels, for example, that a lot of PV panels during, I don't know the data, maybe in 2024, 9 gigawatts in Spain were left because of the unconnection, the disconnection of the PV plants. So we can take advantage of this surplus of energy. This must be applied now. So, no, at the moment.
Thank you once again for your presentation. You have finished it.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to interrupt proceedings briefly to introduce the Deputy President and Provost of Imperial, but also a Professor of Materials and Physics. This is Professor Peter Hayes, and he's going to do the mid-morning opening of our conference. So, Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, everyone, and I'm very grateful to Charles and Kurt for allowing me to interrupt the scientific session. Just to welcome you very warmly indeed to Imperial College London. What I understand is the 14th European Conference on Renewable Energy Systems and the 6th International Conference on Mechanical Engineering. And having attended a number of similar conferences to these in my own field over the years, I know just how valuable it can be to gather together specialists in particular fields in a meeting of this scale, because you can really have very productive conversations and discussions. So a very warm welcome to all of our international delegates. We're delighted that you're here with us in London as well. It's great to host researchers, engineers, industry partners and students from across Europe and beyond, united by a shared commitment to advancing science and engineering for the benefit of society. And that resonates very strongly with the founding mission of Imperial College London. Actually, we are relatively young by the standards of universities in the United Kingdom. We were founded in 1907, and our founding charter said that we needed to be useful. And so that is something that we have sort of developed over the years. That yes, alongside an ambition to be a world-leading university, we want to go further and be a world-changing university. We're very proud of the fundamental discoveries we make in science. And we are always keen to translate those into technologies through engineering. But even more than that, we really want to see those having an impact on everyday people's lives across society for their benefit. And I think that's exactly what you're aiming to achieve through these conferences here as well. What more could be relevant to that, for example, than renewable energy? Whether we're accelerating the transition to net zero, designing more resilient infrastructure, and we know about that here in the UK, having just had a heat wave, and you might feel another one sort of brewing. Our infrastructure is not really relevant for this. Whether it's improving human health, developing the technologies that will shape future industries. Engineering provides many of the solutions on which our societies depend. Now, earlier today, I believe you heard from my colleague, Professor Goran Shkrobats, one of the world's leading authorities on energy systems, and his keynote highlighted the enormous potential of coordinated cross-European approaches to energy networks. His work reminds us that collaboration is not simply desirable, a nice-to-have thing, but actually it's essential. It's a must-have if we are to build secure, affordable, and sustainable energy systems for the future. And tomorrow, you'll hear from another colleague, Professor Mazdak Pujari, whose pioneering research into brain biomechanics is improving our understanding of brain injury and informing new standards for protective equipment. It's another great example of how fundamental engineering research translates into tangible improvements in people's lives. So, the conference programme is impressive both in its breadth and in its ambition. You're covering from renewable energy integration to advanced energy storage, to hydrogen production, sustainable use of agricultural waste, precision agriculture, that's a new one to me, magnetic bearing technologies, and fundamental studies in fluid mechanics. The research being presented here reflects the extraordinary creativity and ingenuity of this community. And what unites all of this work is a shared determination to address complex global challenges through innovation, evidence, and collaboration. Now, these are challenges that no single institution or country can solve alone. That's why conferences such as this play such a vital role in bringing together the expertise, perspectives, and partnerships needed to make meaningful progress. So I hope that over the coming days you'll enjoy not only an outstanding scientific programme, but also take the opportunities to exchange ideas, establish new collaborations, and strengthen existing ones. On behalf of everyone here at Imperial, thank you for joining us. I wish you a stimulating, productive, and enjoyable conference, as well as I hope you have some time to experience some of the other delights that London and this particular precinct around here at Albertopolis have to offer. Welcome again, and thank you very much.
So this is the
My participation certificate. Thank you.
contribution, and this is also
Very nice.
it's a reminder, so you can.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And also, we also have a certification for Professor Charles also because of this, for organizing such events.
It's so lovely to have friends here.
So, maybe we can continue the session.
Hocam.
Our presentation is on scenario based on the overall energy integration and alternative trade system configuration and introduction. It will be presented by YE Mohammed from University Andalusia.
Groningen, Netherlands.
Please join me in Dortmund, our first speaker.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining my sessions. My name is Wahyu. I'm from the Netherlands, specifically University of Groningen. I'm studying a master's student on energy, specifically for the modeling system. And for this particular place and time, I will share one of my research regarding the scenario-based modeling of renewable energy integrations under alternative grid access configuration in Indonesia. And I'm from Indonesia, by the way. I'm trying to work on how Indonesia can fully supply their energy through the fully renewable energy through the grid interconnected system to make it more efficient and also more doable in the future. And as we see that currently, I do believe that capacity targets do not equal integrations because, ladies and gentlemen, if you see this kind of the flow, it is the way in Indonesia we install their renewable energy capacity, and then there's also gross renewable energy generations, and as we know, to implement this renewable energy into the grid itself, there is sort of the system absorption gate, which is there is sort of a factor like grid access, flexibility, and also procurement coordinations. And that's after this gate will be usable renewable energy generations, and hopefully it can reduce the fossil fuel in terms of replacement. And coming from in Indonesia, or probably in the world, renewable energy just focus on how gigawatt that we can achieve to the targets and how much investment that we need and how well the technology costs. And according to my previous research, the missing layer that I see is that there is a grid access, procurement design, and system flexibility that also appear during the process. And focus of this research, I will see how Indonesia can use the usable renewable energy generation, not just cell capacity alone, because sometimes we also see there's capacity factors from renewable energy that cannot be fully deployed through the grid itself. So this motivates a scenario-based comparison of grid access configurations. And to create sort of the comparison between the model, I modeled into 4 scenarios. With the research question is how do alternative grid access configurations of capacity growth, usable generation, fossil generation, emissions, curtailment exposure, and also the system cost that you can see. I treat grid access as scenario variable, and usable renewable energy as a key metrics. And also, in the end, I tried to see how kind of the policy relevant comparison that can be implemented in Indonesia. And I use a stylus annual model, not a dispatch forecast, because there is also a problem regarding the capability of the renewable energy, specifically on producing the data in a granular level. That's why I try to move on to the more generalized one through the stylus annual model. And the model scope and boundaries, I try to project between 2026 into 2040, which annual time step, the system boundary is aggregated national level in Indonesia. Although currently there is no interconnected grid between islands, because we have like more than 70,000 islands, and most of them are still have different grids. And what if we can make it more interconnected in the future? So the purpose of this study is comparative scenario analysis, not just exact forecasting. And the model logic that I implement in my model, the first I see the demand, extend the demand growth to the central assumptions, and then see how the scenario renewable energy additions, and see again gross renewable energy generations, and try to analyze the system absorption kit that I'd already like implemented in the previous one. And then after that, I see the usable renewable energy generation, cost residual, and also try to look into what kind of the emission and cost that can be countered by this model. So the model delivers for each scenario and each year renewable capacity, gross and usable renewable energy generation, for channel, fossil generation, emission, and the system cost. And to make it more visualized, I try to create the 4 scenarios with respect to the procurement openness and the system coordinations, because currently the baseline models is Indonesia, we still focus on the centralized, like it means it just very focused on the government rule market instead of in Europe, you guys already have like liberalized market, which every independent or producer can sell their electricity directly to the end users. And the second scenario is enhanced centralized, more stronger centralized planning, but with the renewable energy prioritizations. And then for the scenario 3, regulated third-party access, it is still controlled by the government. However, there is still more fast deployment but hybrid integration pressures. And the most ideal one, which is hybrid procurement, you have like still central planning, but still controlled by third-party procurement. And this is the scenario outcomes are conditional on transparent assumptions here, with a specific value that I show you in my presentations here. That we can see regarding the flexibility threshold, for example, for the hybrid procurement, I put 42% because it reflects what actually happens in tech. And the interpretation note in the next slide, you probably see that there is a 0% curtailment. What I mean with the curtailment is sometimes renewable energy productions should be run down because of the imbalance of the grid itself. That's why there is a sort of curtailment in renewable energy that need to be run down instead of just supplying to the grid. And this is the result of the model itself, with specific on 2040 capacity outcomes. And you can see here the fastest deployment with 116 gigawatt is scenario 3, and the slowest pathway is currently which is only 62 gigawatt. So now, next question is, how much of this renewable generation becomes usable electricity? Because in the first beginning, I said that, in Indonesia, there is also installed capacity target. However, it's not fully transferred into the usable electricity grid itself. This is what I found with my model. And if you can see here that for this third scenario, with this regulated third-party access, is the highest result, and the other is less than 30%. For the threshold triggered curtailment exposure here, scenario number 3, it has a curtailment exposure. However, the other one is 0%. It's not represent the real world experience because it is just the model is not trigger the threshold that I put in my previous input. The 0% result in the model threshold concept is not triggered. It should not be interpreted as a claim that real world curtailment will be zero. So I see that integration quality depends on system absorption, not only capacity deployment. And how about emission reductions that improve as fossil generation fall? But again, cost trade-off remains here. For the fossil generations, the top of one is still current baseline, but for the third scenario, it has less fossil generation because it's already fulfilled by the usable renewable energy generations. And it's also reflecting the emissions that can be conserved by the Indonesian government, which is for this scenario number 3. It has less emissions that fulfill the nationally determined contribution target of reducing the carbon emissions. And for the cumulative system, the highest is come from the third scenario. It makes sense because you need more installed capacity to convert into the usable generation one. The interpretations, as a note that S3 achieved the strongest fossil and emission reductions under scenario assumption, but it also has the highest cumulative system cost, while the scenario number 4 sacrificed some emission reduction but offers a more coordinated and less costly transition pathway. The key trade-off I also try to analyze with this kind of assumption here. Let's practice it what I put in my model. The most pragmatic middle pathway for Indonesian government is scenario number 4, which is hybrid procurement. You have still control the procurement for the coordinations, but it can increase the faster of deployment speed within the infrastructures. And with the comparison, scenario number 1 is stable but limited access channels. Scenario number 3 is strongest deployment and emission gains but higher cost of deployment exposures. And scenario number 4 wins participation while preserving stronger coordinations. And how about the policy that can be considered by the Indonesian government? The first one, we should think that renewable energy generation should be beyond gigawatt targets. Yeah, it's kind of decentralized instead of centralized, but we need to ensure that transition success by usable clean electricity, not just installed capacity alone. And we also to consider price access reform with flexibility, as Professor Starbuck said in his keynote, where procurement channels and transmission readiness, storage, and express coordinations. And we also think we use the hybrid procurement pathway and improve modeling granularity, because currently this kind of work still try to capture on the national level instead of looking into more granular to make it more sense for the implementation in the specific granularity things. So the policy goes not simply to build more renewable capacity, but to make renewable electricity usable by the systems. Yeah. So that's all my. One more thing, I need to say this. I also, the other gratefully acknowledge the financial support from the Indonesia Development Fund for the Agency through the LBD Scholarship Program.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Does anyone have a question for the presentation?
Thank you for your presentation. My question: how could this scenario be applied in the developing country? Example, your scenario.
Thanks for your questions. That's an interesting one, because when I try to model this kind of work, the first thing that we need to think is like the design of the electricity market in the country, because in Indonesia we're still fully regulated by the government, which is for example, people who can generate renewable energy cannot just tap in and sell their electricity to the market. That's why we need to contribute to make it feasible like what we have in here in the European, because since 1990, currently the European Union already liberalized their electricity market that make it possible to just increase the penetration of renewable energy.
One question?
Time up, sir.
Tea break.
Yeah.
Because we're slightly late, we suggest a working tea break.
Yeah, we can have a small tea, 10 minutes, and then we can continue. You can celebrate.
So you are allowed tea in this room. The tea and coffee is just out through here.
For 10 minutes.
Give me your phone.
Yeah, you're welcome.
وش بقي سيفا؟
There.
يعني طبعا مسكينة سهلة اللي يحضروا
أنا دي organization. أوكي شوفونا في الكاميرا.
There's something like that really should be. This is an online company, so it's going to offer houses, sort of questions, it's not which is suspended for sprays. Good for the Netherlands, good for Germany.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You do me fit. I need 3 months for the whole. Yeah, for the presentation. No. Yeah, you do by your phone.
My phone is not exactly quality, so it's better for you.
Yeah, I give you my phone.
I can do it for you, but the final result.
Yeah, so I give you my phone. Yeah, what's up? This is the food. Yeah, probably.
It used to be a library, it's okay to lots of fantasy. Design.
因为这个看了一个。